On May 7, 2025, India launched airstrikes inside Pakistan. The target, alleged terrorist camps. India claimed these camps were involved in a deadly attack in Kashmir. The strikes marked a significant escalation in the long-standing conflict between the two nuclear-armed neighbors. Casualties were reported, but the exact numbers remain disputed. Pakistan condemned the strikes, calling them a violation of its sovereignty. The airstrikes sent shockwaves through the international community. Many feared a dangerous escalation of violence. Both countries possess nuclear weapons, making the situation even more precarious. India defended its actions, asserting that the strikes were necessary to eliminate terrorist infrastructure. They claimed the camps were planning further attacks on Indian soil. However, Pakistan vehemently denied the presence of any terrorist camps in the targeted areas. The Indian airstrikes were a direct response to a horrific terrorist attack in Indian-administered Kashmir on April 22, 2025. The attack claimed the lives of 26 people, most of whom were tourists. The attack sent shockwaves through India and ignited public outrage. India blamed Pakistan-based terrorist groups for the attack. Pakistan denied any involvement in the Kashmir attack. They called for a neutral investigation into the incident. However, India dismissed these calls, citing evidence linking the attackers to Pakistan-based groups. The attack served as a grim reminder of the volatile situation in Kashmir. The disputed region has been a flashpoint between India and Pakistan for decades. Both countries claim Kashmir in its entirety. This has led to numerous wars and countless skirmishes. The April 22 attack threatened to push the two nuclear-armed nations closer to the brink of war. Pakistan's response to the Indian airstrikes was swift and furious. They condemned the strikes as an act of aggression and a violation of their territorial integrity. Pakistan's Prime Minister addressed the nation, vowing a befitting response to India's actions. Pakistan closed its airspace to Indian aircraft. Pakistan's National Security Committee convened an emergency meeting. The committee authorized the Pakistani military to take all necessary measures to defend the country. This raised fears of a full-blown war between the two nuclear powers. Pakistan also launched diplomatic efforts to garner international support. They accused India of warmongering and urged the international community to intervene. Pakistan sought to portray India as the aggressor and garner sympathy for its position. Section 4. The world reacts international condemnation and calls for restraint. The Indian airstrikes and Pakistan's subsequent response sent shockwaves across the globe. World leaders scrambled to contain the crisis, urging both sides to exercise restraint. The United Nations Security Council held an emergency meeting to discuss the escalating tensions. The UN Secretary-General called for an immediate de-escalation of hostilities. The United States, Russia, China, and the European Union all issued statements expressing deep concern over the situation. They urged both India and Pakistan to engage in dialogue to resolve their differences peacefully. The United States offered to mediate between the two countries. The international community recognized the gravity of the situation. A full-blown conflict between India and Pakistan, both nuclear-armed states, could have catastrophic consequences. The international community was determined to prevent such a scenario. Section 5, Operation Sindoor, a symbolic strike against terrorism. India dubbed its airstrikes Operation Sindoor. The name, laden with symbolism, refers to the red vermilion powder worn by Hindu women, particularly during marriage ceremonies. The choice of name was seen as a deliberate message to Pakistan. Some analysts interpreted it as a sign of India's resolve to punish those responsible for the Kashmir attack. The use of the name Operation Sindoor also sparked debate and controversy. Critics argued that it injected religious overtones into the conflict. They feared that it could further inflame tensions and make a peaceful resolution more elusive. Despite the controversy, the name Operation Sindoor resonated with many in India. It seemed to capture the nation's anger and grief following the Kashmir attack. The name also served as a reminder of the human cost of terrorism. Section 6. Travel disruptions and historical echoes, the conflict's wider impact. The escalation of tensions between India and Pakistan had immediate and far-reaching consequences. Both countries imposed travel restrictions, disrupting air traffic and stranding passengers. Several airlines canceled flights to and from major cities in both countries. This caused widespread disruption and economic losses. The conflict also brought back painful memories of past wars between the two countries. The specter of a nuclear confrontation loomed large, raising fears of a catastrophic conflict. The international community was reminded of the fragility of peace in the region. The historical context of the India-Pakistan conflict added another layer of complexity to the situation. Decades of mistrust and animosity fueled the current crisis. This made finding a peaceful resolution even more challenging. Section 7. Other developments: claims of civilian casualties and heightened security measures. In the aftermath of the Indian airstrikes, reports emerged of civilian casualties. Maulana Masood Azhar, the leader of the Jaish-e-Mohammed militant group, claimed that his family members were among those killed. These claims could not be independently verified. However, they added to the growing sense of alarm and outrage. Both India and Pakistan took steps to bolster their defenses. India placed its armed forces on high alert and deployed additional troops to the border region. Pakistan followed suit, deploying troops and military hardware to counter India's moves. The escalating tensions had a ripple effect throughout the region. Schools were closed in several areas near the border. Civil defense drills were conducted in major cities. The fear of further escalation loomed large, casting a shadow of uncertainty over the region.